Fit like Aberdeen, Danny Boy here, and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2 on the UK map. We're going to do a drive-by. We're going to do a freight drive-by, which is something we've not often done. It's normally always passenger services because they're faster. Some of their routes are quite long. But today we're going to be jumping on the Stobart Rail train that we made in the last episode that is heading down to Shrewsbury. It's currently at Elgin. It just dropped off some tools. It actually picked up comm mats as well from somewhere, and it's delivered comm mats to here. Who actually needs comm mats? Elgin actually needs comm mats, so that's totally fine. So we shall jump on board with this. It's actually moving. Okay, there we go. We could do a in-cab view. We've never done an in-cab view. However, I like the... Whoops. That's easy. The cab views. Oh. Phantom hands. Yeah, I like this view. Eddie the engine. That's pretty cool. Eddie the engine. Stobart Rail. Direct Rail Services. So it's like a DRS contracted train. But we're leaving Elgin. There we go. The famous Elgin high-rises that don't actually exist. There's no such thing in real life. But yeah, it's quite a long journey to Shrewsbury from here. It should be interesting. There are many trains that we pass by on the way. We've got a green signal as well, which is nice. Could not have hoped for a better signal than that. There we go. I can see an EasyJet way in the distance land at Aberdeen. I can see this Class 47 as well. Rail freight distribution that should be taking food or alcohol, one would like to say. I can't actually remember what that train actually takes. But we should be bypassing Aberdeen, going through sort of Dundee, back through Edinburgh. We don't stop at Edinburgh in this direction, in this leg of the journey. We just bypass it. We do stop on the northern route. This bridge in front of us has no pillars. It's a pillarless bridge. That sucks. Right, under the tunnel here. Where are we? We're heading on the bypass line for Aberdeen. Yes. So we had some interesting route planning when this train was first conceived. If you watched the last episode, it was trying to do some sort of wild tour of the UK. It's because I had not placed the ability for the train to get onto the track that I needed it to get onto. There we go. There's a Balfour BE train there. Very nice. So that should be taking comm mats also to Elgin and Inverness. But this train looks like it's picking up comm mats as well, and it sort of supplements that route. It only had 32 comm mats on its first endeavour. That's fine. 32 tools even on its first endeavour. There we go. There's Aberdeen Airport, and there's a British Airways plane rearing to go there. We should be heading down towards Dundee. So we've been doing freight for a while as well. We will be heading back on to passengers next episode. I'd like to get a couple of Great Western Railways trains on the go, if at all possible. Should not be an issue. I've been looking at some of the routes, mainly from London out to the west. I was looking at Gloucester as well, Shrewsbury, Wrexham, that sort of general area, and there's a few trains that I found there that might be quite nice. I've already built the lines on the NIMBY Rails map. I just need to actually construct the lines or plan the lines out, and then add some trains onto them, and then do the little NIMBY Rails pre-recording, and then we'll be building some fresh passenger tracks, which will be nice. There is actually a service that goes from Gloucester to Gloucester to Cardiff. I did find it while sort of perusing through the schedule on the Gloucester train station on Google. However, I could not find where the train actually stopped. So all it said was it was a cross-country service that left from Gloucester to Cardiff, but it was on a completely different line from any of the other lines I'd previously conceived in NIMBY Rails, but it did not say which stations, because there are a few little towns that it passes through. It did not actually say which stations it actually stops at. Now we've got our first bit of traffic here, first bit of many, I would imagine. So as I've mentioned before, this is a full UK map on a Megalomania size map. However, the UK has been compressed greatly to fit it all into one map. So although this area between Aberdeen and Dundee is a very long distance, in Transport Fever it's quite short. And then once you add several trains on a sort of busy section track or a main line, etc., they do bunch up, which leaves them very little room for most of the sort of high-end passenger trains, etc., to reach their sort of top speeds. They sort of get up to speed and then they sort of have to slow down because something else is in front of it. Now in the UK, in a lot of places, it is only double-tracked. Quad-tracked is more of a sort of down south thing. And freight trains often use the same lines that passenger trains use, and it can be maybe not in real life because things are scheduled obviously a lot better, and the real life distances are a lot longer, so it's a lot easier to space trains out because there's greater distance. But in Transport Fever 2 it's not. Everything becomes quite congested and compact in very, very short order. We're moving, holy crap. Yep, see this wall here just on the left, 2D. It's the sort of one of those visual glitches you get with tunnels in Transport Fever, which is unfortunate. It would be nice, a nice little feature, to possibly pick the textures inside a tunnel. Maybe have it this old sort of mossy brick here. You can see there's green, little green bits where moss and stuff. Normally the inside of tunnels in the UK are quite damp. But like in Europe and Germany, it's like solid, flat concrete. Over in Europe, a lot of their tunnels most of them are quite new, so most of the tunnels and bridges in the UK are, well, old, very old. So we use the sort of brick. I'll go Balfour Beatty. That train needs a wash. What are you waiting for? You're waiting for that fuel train way in the distance to leave. There we go. There's that EasyJet flight again. So it has landed, loaded it with passengers, flew all the way back to Gatwick, and then all the way back to Aberdeen, and the time it's taken us to move in a tunnel. I was going to do multiple journeys on this drive-by. It might just be one, because this might actually take 45 minutes to an hour. We haven't even reached Edinburgh yet. I might actually cut out that section where it's in the tunnel for 40 billion minutes. And now that I've said that, if I do cut out that, people will be like, why is he on about cutting out a section in the tunnel? So for those of you, if I do decide to do that, the tunnel back before Dundee, well, we're stuck in it for like 15 minutes. Which should be all clear now. There are a lot of trains in front of us, but most of those fuel trains will be branching off and heading towards Glasgow. The other trains are heading towards Perth to get alcohol or food, so that they should not really be in the way. And it looks like maybe about 3 or 4 of the cement trains that head up towards Inverness the commats or stone trains are actually now heading back behind us. Is there actually a queue behind us? I can't see. Oh well. Back in line, back into formation. Spin us around. There we go. Green lights. Look, green. As far as the eye can see. Magical. Oh my god, what is happening with this bit of track here? It should not be like that. Okay, note to self, after this episode is finished, go back and change that. No one's probably ever going to see that teeny tiny sliver, a section of track there that we just passed, but it will be in my mind that that is a thing. Right, here we go. Here's a nice little cement train. So it's got the cement tanks, which are obviously unique. They're a lot different from standard tanks. Standard tanks, normally fluid goes in the top. It can either come out the bottom, or there might be a standpipe inside the tank, and fuel can be removed from the top with air pressure applied, a pressurized tank. So you feed air into the tank, pressure builds in the tank, the air sits at the top, starts pushing the fluid down, it goes up into the standpipe, which is at the bottom of the tank, and then it comes out through the top. A lot of offshore tanks utilize that, because when you have your valve or discharge at the bottom of a tank, obviously gravity, fluid will always sit at the bottom of a tank. If there is a breach in that valve, or it's damaged, or it's leaking, then it will leak constantly until someone notices it. If the valves are all at the top, then unless the tank is in some sort of violent accident and is flipped upside down, it's not going to leak. There's no leak path for it, because there's air at the top and the fluid sits underneath it. So that's why a lot of oil companies use pressurized tanks. They're not really hard to use, but they are sort of safer from an environmental standpoint. Obviously you still get tanks with the discharge valve at the bottom, and all you do is open the valve, gravity, hydrostatic, feeds the fluid out through the bottom, and voila, done and dusted. Air tanks are slightly more challenging. You need to rig hoses up to the valves at the top, you need to rig an air line in and monitor the pressure of the air that is going in, and each tank will have a max working pressure, and there'll always be a sort of sweet spot, the sort of pressure, air being fed into the tank that gives you a rate of fluid being discharged that's optimal for what you sort of want to do. But yeah, so the cement tanks are different though, because they need cement is cement. If it heats up or it's left too long unagitated, then it just sets, and then you've some poor soul has got the job of going into the tank with a jackhammer or needle gun or something and chipping away all the cement that's left in. With tanks like that carry cement, or things that are likely to set, it's imperative that once you're done with them, that they are cleaned very, very quickly, because the residue on the side of the tanks will set. But yeah, it's really cool that someone actually added the cement tanks. I've noticed some Eastern European ones on the workshop as well, and they're really cool also. I noticed also someone has done like transportation, the sort of wagons, the reinforced wagons for transporting nuclear materials, which is awesome as well. It's a real shame that the devs at Transport Fever did not add things like coal power stations, fuel power stations, nuclear power stations. Things like that would have been incredibly nice to sort of play with. I mean, having mines for like uranium ore, etc. There was the old school Transport Fever 1 Industries DLC, which was sort of made up mod that was actually really good. It did have a lot of bugs. It didn't work for a lot of people. I managed to get it to work to a certain extent, but it did have things like actual fish farms that you could place out at sea, and you could have little fishing boats go and pick it up. You could mine for bauxite to make aluminium. You could make vehicles, cars, etc. One of the most disappointing things that happened when I first ever played Transport Fever 2 was realised not only that there was no new industries, that they'd used industries from the previous Transport Fever 1, and some of them were sort of tweaked to make their sort of input goods slightly different, but to me it felt like there were less. There were actually less sort of industries you could push around. I understand why they made cities only require one commercial good and one industrial good. That's a performance optimization right there. So, but that should not have been that should have been a choice for the player to make. Do I want every single good transported to my city, or do I want to stick with the simple one commercial, one industrial? Because obviously the more freight trains and trucks you have to add, because you've got more goods going to a city, the more frame rate and your computer is going to suffer, because there's a lot more vehicles for the game to handle, or for your computer to handle. That should have been an option that was given to the player. It should not have been taken away from us, not at any point. And it's kind of cheating in a way, because if you're a dev at Urban Games, you go, well, the game is a lot more optimized, it runs a lot more streamlined, frame rates should be better, but all you've done is not made it better, just made stuff less. Better would be if you had the same options as before, where cities required 4 goods, and then it was better from there. Not stuff requires less, so that makes it better. Which is a real life concept. Less in some form or way in real life. Sometimes less is better. But here it's not. It's less gameplay for more frame rate sort of thing. But that option should never have been taken away from the player. I mean, obviously, my system's quite old now. The new system that I've built is almost finished. Mine is GPU. The GPU hunt still continues and probably will. I need to stop watching YouTube like Linus Tech Tips and Jay's 2 Cents, Nexus Gamers. I need to stop watching them, because all they say is, yes, the GPU drought will be fixed sometime around next year. At the start of next year, and it's like, holy crap, that's so far away. And then I see like a couple of my friends and people I know that are getting 3080s and 3090s, and it's like, where are you getting these from? I have Discord drops. There is live stock channels on actual YouTube where you can just go and look at it, and everything something drops from a store in the UK, with all the different sort of technical retailers there is, it sort of pops up in there, and then you've got literally seconds to get onto the website and try and buy it before it goes out of stock. There's also Twitter drops as well, so you get notifications, email drops from literally every single computer company in the UK, even some in Europe and some in the US and Canada, because I'm not out with buying something from abroad and just paying the tax for it when it comes in. But yeah, it's really bad. The problem is that I did the one for Curry's PC World, and once a week I get an email from Curry's PC World, and it has a picture of the GPU you want, and all it says is, we know you are looking for this. It's not in stock, but perhaps you would maybe like to look at this. And it's like, no, why? You've literally just got my hopes up, because I thought that the one I wanted was in stock. But all you're saying is it's not in stock, but here's something else that is nothing the same as what you actually want to look at. The other week, so the one I have is the one I've been looking for desperately, and it's out in the US, it's out in Asia. It seems to be that Central Europe has them as well, but it's the Asus 3080, the white edition, because my new build is themed around white. Everything is white, the case is white, the power supply is white, the motherboard is white, the 120, the fans are all white, everything is white. And I wanted a white graphics cards, of which you have two options at the moment. So the Gigabyte Vision OC, the white edition one, and there is the Asus Strix 3080 white edition. So everywhere else in the world seems to have this, but the UK does not. And anyone I know from the UK or have seen that has one has bought it from a scalper on eBay, from somewhere like America or Canada, something I'm not willing to do. Patience is always a virtue. You should not be ripped off and help someone else profit. So scalpers are a complete no-no for me. In fact, I think there should be some sort of law. I think Australia has a law to stop scalping. There should absolutely be one in the UK. The UK is one of the biggest nanny states in the planet, but yet you can still get away with stuff like scalping. So yeah, everyone has a right to make money, but not by completely, absolutely ripping off other people, which is mostly how the business and economy world works. But yeah, I would rather wait than pay something like $2,500 for something that's worth like 980 quid. So yeah, it's been very difficult to find GPUs. I think I'm maybe just a bit slow on the mark. These sort of alerts come in and then I'm always busy doing something, and then I go on, it's like, yeah, that's out of stock. Oh well. But yeah, getting the new PC up and running would be marvellous. I am planning a huge channel sort of change once that comes in. There's lots of stuff that I would love to do, but I am limited, so yeah. But there we go, my computer is old. I think, back to the original point, that maybe Urban Games perhaps created this too good system for cities, so that maybe players with sort of not really outdated but lesser systems could actually play the game, because the Steam requirements when you go to buy Transport Fever 2, or even if you look at it, are questionable at best. Yes, you probably could play the game with the hardware it recommends, but I think you'd be severely limited in gameplay. Maybe it would have to be one of those, a lot of people do just two cities on a map. 2 cities is fine. For me, 2 cities always seems like the people that do them are more into doing high detailing. But yeah, adding something on a huge scale map with 40 plus, 50 plus cities, then industries, yeah, the minimum requirements for Transport Fever 2, especially the Steam ones, are completely blown clean out of the water. You would not have a hope in hell of being able to do that. And it's a shame as well, because you see on the forums a lot of people say, I'm building this system, here's the parts I've bought, is it okay for me to play Transport Fever? And a simple yes or no would do. A yes or no, and maybe say, well, because of the limitations of the system, maybe try this. If this doesn't work for you, maybe try something a bit less. But all you get is a lot of people say, this system is terrible. It's like, spend more money. It's like, sometimes people don't have money to buy flat out amazing computer systems. Some people might be using their sort of desktop computer for playing games, but might need it for a work application, and don't have the time to wait to get the hardware they need to be back in stock, because their job requires them to have a active working computer. You might have some, I don't know, designer, artist that does 3D rendering, and it's like, well, I want a really good computer, but if I don't get the parts I need to at least be able to do something, I'm going to lose money and go out of business pretty fast. So yeah, sometimes people are constrained by that, but I really hate looking at the comments for stuff like that, because some people are just so evil. And you'll get these weirdos that, like, I have an i9 with a 3090, blah blah blah, and it runs the game flawlessly. It's like, the person doesn't care what your system is, they're only asking if their system is going to be capable of playing the game in any kind of form or capacity. People that do that are just sort of bragging, and it's stupid. It doesn't help the person at all, it doesn't help anyone else, no one cares what your system is. If it works to a degree where you can find a game that you like to be playable, and you're happy with it, and you have fun with it, then the system works, as far as I'm concerned. The only reason I'm making my next system was a sort of very expensive build was because I want to use it for video rendering. At some point I'm going to maybe do some live streams, and having a decent setup, a decent 2 PC system, one running older hardware, the other running newer hardware, is going to be more beneficial for me. Yes, I can cope at the moment with my i7 and my 1080 Ti, but games now are getting more advanced. YouTube is now fast going out the realms of 1080p to 2K or 4K, and the hardware I currently have is just not suited for that. The next sort of playthrough I want to do of Transport Fever 2, I could actually do on the current PC. Yes, it would come to a certain point in the game, it's going to become extremely laggy, as it always does. That's even with the new quality of life performance and the addition of the Vulkan graphics setup. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to go halfway through and be like, man, this is terrible, I'm going to have to like start again, or think of something, or delete half the towns on the map, etc, etc. I would like to just have a newer PC with a better hardware so that I can continue further on in the game. Maybe even do a full playthrough without having to stop. Start in the Steam era, end in the golden age of coronavirus. That's what I would like to do, but I just don't have... I have the system, I just don't have a graphics card. Which is magnificent. And I probably won't have for some point. But it's something that sits in the back of my mind, but I'm not massively concerned about it. There are worse things in the world happening right now than having a shortage of computer chips. Well, one of them as well, on computer chips. I needed to put my old car had to go back because it was on the... I do contract hire. I always have. It's ever since it was first conceived, because for me, buying new cars and then keeping them for a long time, someone who used to be really into cars and have a lot of cars, it's kind of stupid. Cars are a waste of money. They really are. And then it took me a long time to realise that I was wasting so much money, and that a car is normally just only getting me from A to B. And then I started doing the contract hire. But my last vehicle, which was a Volvo XC60, actually had to go back because the contract ran out. And I'd actually ordered in replacement of it a Land Rover Discovery. The guy actually contacted me and he was like, can you live without a vehicle for quite a long period of time? And I was like, how long is a long period of time? And he said maybe the start of next year, maybe even in the summer next year. And I was like 2022. And albeit this was like back in February when I went to order this Land Rover Discovery, and he was like, yes. And I was like, why? What is the issue? And he was like, well, obviously car manufacturers now can't get the computer chips they need to create vehicles. Land Rover is no exception. Land Rover also had a problem because a lot of its parts for its vehicles was made in China, and during the start of the pandemic, lots of manufacturing facilities in China were closed. And then they sort of started to recover from that, and then it's all gone to pot again because they can't get the chips. Same with Ford, Volkswagen, Audi. They're all sort of suffering from this global chip shortage. So I was like, well, my girlfriend also has a vehicle. Her vehicle is new also. I was like, but she works at the hospital, and when she's at work for 12, 13, 14 hours a day, I will have no vehicle and I potentially might need one. So he then said, he's like, it's okay, maybe you should order something other than anything from Land Rover currently, because they have vehicles built for showrooms, etc., but having one sort of pre-made with the stuff you want inside it, and it's like there are no current vehicles available for contract hire unless you ordered it a very long time ago, i.e. sometime last year, which I did not. So that was out the window. I then said, well, I'll just get something small for the moment, possibly we have a dog, and the dog is not allowed in my girlfriend's car, but it was allowed in my last one. Obviously the XC60 had a huge boot. There was lots of room for her to sort of move around. The Discovery also has a large boot. Again, it was fine. And the road to my house, because my house is out in the middle of nowhere, it's not a paved road, it's a sort of dirt road with huge potholes and stuff. And like sort of having a 4x4 vehicle, especially in winter when there's a lot of snow and ice, or it's raining a lot, and the track turns to like this pure mud, turns into an episode of Mud Runner. It's nice to have a Jeep. It's nice to have something with 4-wheel drive. But I thought maybe I'll chance it. I'll get something smaller. So I asked him if I could get something like a Ford Fiesta van, the new Ford Fiesta Sport van. Keep it for 2 years, maybe run around in it. Just something inexpensive, 2 seats, large boot, dog can go in the back. There only is me and my girlfriend. We don't have children yet. But yeah, he was like, okay, he was like, yeah, I can get you that. He then phoned me actually yesterday, and he was like, yeah, we're having trouble getting Fords now because Ford plants are closing. They also can't get computer chips for their vehicles. And I was just like, oh dear God. It's like, what next? So I'm kind of at a loss. He has ordered it, he's waiting for an update. If it was going to be sometime next year, in fact, if it was going to be sometime after August of this year, I was just going to tell him to cancel it. But I've not heard from him today yet, so we're just sort of waiting to see. Am I going to be stuck without a car for 6 months, or am I actually going to have a car? It's something that did not occur to me. He did actually say that normally when I know the date my vehicle's going back, normally 6 months before, I'm on the ball and I've phoned him up and he's ordered something so that it's ready. This time I didn't do that because obviously my company I used to work for closed, or the department I worked for was closed down. We were all paid off. I wasn't sure what my work situation was going to be, so money flow was going to be a sort of an issue that's been sort of taken care of now. But it was whether I was going to be back working in Aberdeen or offshore again, in which I would need a vehicle. And now it seems I can sort of do this sort of new thing I want to do from home, which is like going to be like half YouTube and half doing like consulting work for oil and gas on the computer. So I can do that from home. So I don't really need a vehicle, but at the same time it's always nice to have a vehicle. There is no bus that goes past my house or anything like that. And it would cost me £30, 30 quid to get a taxi to come out to my house, pick me up and take me to the nearest town, which is Fraserburgh. And then it would take me 30 quid to get a taxi to take me back from Fraserburgh back to where I live. So yeah, but we finally made it. Holy crap, we're in Shrewsbury East. Hold on. I thought, are all these tools for this train? Hello, 352. How much was waiting here? There we go. This train's coming in now, which is nice. Well, we'll finish the ride along on this train. How much did you got? 352, and there's actually some left. Holy crap. Right, I'm going to add a second one of these at some point, but the other train I wanted to run on was this one that went down to Manchester, to Milford Haven, and I might still run in it. The other one I was possibly going to do was the Stone train. I don't know where the Stone train is. Literally the same place I left it in the last episode. Well, it has picked stuff up, but one journey is not enough. 2 would be better. And I am going to cut out that section where we were stuck in the tunnel for 15 minutes. Right, I'll pause it here, and then when something arrives, either this Manchester train or the Stone train, we'll jump on that. So we are back once again. It was the Transport for Wheel trains train that actually arrived first. Is it actually going to go with the DVT? It can't just go backwards. Is it going to flip me over once the train is ready to go? It's still loading up with passengers. There we go, we've got a train arriving at the other side. That's nice. Are you going to flip round to your train, or what is the plan of action? You finished loading. So you should be able to go. Hey, it flipped us over to this side. Yes, nice. I really like this direct rail services livery. It's a very nice model as well. Let's go back to the front. And cab view. Oh, the cab is very nicely done in this model. I like to be outside in the sunshine. So this train is heading from Manchester to Milford Haven. I would suspect it's going to get stuck in quite a fair amount of traffic down around the Swansea and Cardiff areas. Who the hell knows? So off we go though. There we go. There's the little single unit. This thing's odd. I have seen photos of these running online just as a single unit. It feels to me like it really should have something on the back of it. There's a rail freight services, electric rail freight services, heading up to Carlisle with tools. So that means we just missed the Stobart rail. No, it's not. It's in front of us, is it? There's something in front of me. But anyway, we'll be joining this sort of main line here. We'll be heading through Crewe and then down to Milford Haven. Hopefully it won't take too long. I will edit out that 15-minute tunnel section on the last sort of train. So round we go. We're actually getting to go first. Nice. This Transpennine. No, this Avanti West Coast is letting us go. Very nice. And the Pride livery. Nice livery that. Very colourful, which is nice. But yes, so in other news as well, there was some things that changed on the channel. Some of you may have noticed, some may have not. But for ages, for literally months, I was stuck on something like 800 1,045 subscribers, which I thought was odd. It would always sort of go up and then back down and then up and then back down, and I was kind of confused, a little bit disheartened, but not too much. It just sort of goes with the sort of YouTube algorithm of life, whether your video gets pushed out, how many views it gets, likes, comments, etc. So I wasn't too disheartened. I have had friends to me, there's a handful of my friends, maybe about 3 of them, that actually know I've got this channel, because I didn't want everyone I know to know, because then everyone would just sort of subscribe. A lot of my friends are quite trolly, especially they have quite a trolly nature, so I was like, it's better off if not everyone knows. And plus, this was only a hobby when I first started. It's became something that I love doing sort of every day. But yeah, the subscriber count was sort of not moving. It was sort of going up, and then it was going back down to the same spot, and it was going up and it was going back down to the same spot, and I was kind of confused. And then all of a sudden it just sort of started climbing rapidly, and I mean rapidly. In the space of something like 6 days, it had gone from 845 subscribers to 1056 or something. It was weird. And this was all like in the space of a week, I was like, this is kind of strange. So I sort of Googled it to sort of see, was it like a YouTube glitch? And then it said there, it's like, if something like this happens, I mean, if you're quite a large channel and you're gaining hundreds of subscribers in like a couple a day, maybe even 1,000 subscribers in a couple of days, if you're quite a large, big channel that has like lots of viral videos and etc., then this would be normal. But if you're a smaller channel like what I am, and this sort of happens, then you should contact YouTube, because it could be like some sort of weird, spurious activity. It could be someone like bot spamming your channel, and this can lead to YouTube think that you're doing it. Your channel could get deleted. So I contacted them, which was odd. I got an email as well. You are above 1,000 subscribers. You have X amount of viewing hours, which means you can now get monetization, etc. I didn't actually reply to that email because I thought it might just be a glitch. But it was so weird because it kept on rising by a large amount and going down, and rising by a large amount and going down. So once I contacted YouTube, which because one of the things is you are now eligible for support, and I was like, that's strange. Would not everyone be eligible for support? So if you don't have 1,000 subscribers and something is wrong with your channel, you can't actually contact YouTube to sort of mend it. And then I've seen lots and lots of videos in the past of other YouTube creators saying that the YouTube support is basically like a bot, and so you don't actually speak to a real person, etc. And they go by the obviously godlike YouTube algorithm. So whatever the algorithm says is what goes. A human being doesn't. There are probably so many YouTube channels and content creators that you would need an army of people to go through sort of every single complaint. So they go off what the bot says. So I sat there thinking, like, no one is going to get back to me. No one is going to help. I was like, this could be bad. And I was slightly worried. Again, it was rising again. At one point, it went up to like 1,200. And then it dropped back down again at like the 1,056. And I was slightly worried. I was like, there's no way, unless my video has been published on like the actual YouTube homepage, so everybody in the planet can literally see it, then this should not be happening. But someone actually did get back to me, and it was fine. It was a nice lady. She explained that that YouTube had an issue where it was not showing correct subscriber numbers. And then this sometimes happens now and again. And I was like, that's good. And she was like, it is good for you because yours was actually showing lower than what it should have actually been. In some cases, for some people, it might be bad. It might be showing more subscribers than they've actually got. And then once the algorithm once they sort of fix the issue, you sort of lose like a large amount of subscribers in one go, which I imagine would be quite disheartening. But mine's was different. She said yours is actually more than what it shows even on YouTube Studio on your page. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I did notice in the analytics that it said something like I had 845 subscribers, but something like 1,450 subscribers had actually subscribed and unsubscribed. And I was like, well, that is impossible, because you've only got 845, but 1,045 of the people who have subscribed have unsubscribed. Then you would be minus subscribers. So she did explain that, yes, the amount of subscribers that was being shown on my channel wasn't the true amount. And then I was like, oh, okay. So it's like, that's nice. She says, you are above 1,000 subscribers, you can do the request to do the monetization, etc. She said that the issue had not been fixed yet, and that there may still be some changes to the channel. And I was like, oh no, that's bad. So what's it going to do? Is it going to take all that away again? But it was actually, it was a glitch in the YouTube system. She was like, no, if anything, it looks like your true subscriber count will go up. And I was like, that's good, that's nice. So a couple of days ago, it actually went from like 1,056, and then it jumped up to 1,256. And then again, I contacted YouTube, and they were like, yeah, this is your, once everything is sort of said and done, it's like, this is your correct and final true subscriber amount. So it was really nice to see that. It made me feel a hell of a lot better. The actual panic that sort of ensued when all these these large amounts of subscribers started appearing was really bad, because the article I had read is like, if this happens, it could be like a bot attack. YouTube might delete your channel because you're not following. I was like, what? I was like, no way. And then once I actually contacted YouTube, and they actually got back to me, which was again astonishing. I've heard stories of lots of people losing battles with YouTube. My first encounter that I had was a really positive one. So yeah, it felt good. And then the other day when I was in YouTube Studio looking at the analytics for the videos, doing a bit of editing on some of the videos, there was actually a banner at the top. It was like, there was an error with your true subscriber account, this has now been resolved, blah blah blah. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, it was actually a glitch. And then she was like, they basically said, it's like, for a long time your channel has been over 1,000 subscribers, but now that the issue has been resolved, the result is now that everything is fixed and you can now do your monetization and things. And I was like, that's nice, because even though this is not my full-time job, because I don't currently have a full-time job, it's sort of like part-time work that I'm doing for oil companies. They send me out work to do in the computer, normally designing jobs and wording out design services, etc. So I was getting a little bit of money from that, and it'd be nice to get, even if it's only 1p a day, it'd be nice to get a little bit of side cash off of YouTube as well. That would be nice. I do apologise for anyone that gets the ads. They should all be skippable, apart from like the like 5-second non-skippable ads. So it's nice. It's a nice change. It was a nice feeling when that they confirmed that it was a glitch and that this was in the process of being resolved. Because for a long time it was sort of stuck, and I was like, oh man, nothing is sort of going up or down. I'm slightly confused when I seen the you are minus like 1,546 subscribers. I was like, that's impossible, because I've never had that much, and it turns out I had. So I do believe the issue resolved. It shouldn't jump up randomly anymore, and it shouldn't cause me any more slight panic attacks. So we should be good. So let me say thank you to everyone who is subscribed as well. Whether you're new or old, it doesn't matter. Everyone is a legend in my eyes. So thank you very much. It really does mean a lot. And I know there are some people who did subscribe to this channel or watch some of the other stuff. Maybe Anno, Workers and Resources. I am working hard to get that back. The new update for Workers and Resources came along with the helicopters, and I've been testing it out. There was a few issues on the previous save game that I have managed to fix, I think. It does crash now and again, and I've been whittling down what mod is actually the cause of that. I think it's maybe some of the underground pipe mods that I have installed, because now underground piping for heating and oil is now a thing. So I'm gonna keep fishing and try and get that fixed. But again, it's one of those series that I would love to start up again, but it's probably going to be a long series because there's so much you can do. It's a city builder. It could last for ages, and it's one of those things I don't want to sort of restart it unless I get a brand new graphics card, new system comes online, and I have to port something like 700 odd mods across and the save game, which has never really worked out swimmingly well for me previously. Because I do also have a gaming laptop that I used to take away with me offshore, and it would just be like a case of, I'll take this save game, fire it on here, and I'll play a bit of it when I get offshore, if I'm bored or if I've got any downtime. And then it would come, none of the mods are sort of ported across. I know that now some of the clouds save, some save games that are on the cloud will actually download your mods on if you sign in with your other account on another computer or on a laptop. It will automatically download mods from Steam Workshop. So when you go into that save game, the mods are all there. I did see that in Transport Fever 2. It downloaded all the mods, but it hadn't activated any of them for the save game. And that in itself is a real problem, because I have literally 1,000, 1,500 mods or something for Transport Fever 2 installed, but only the UK ones are obviously running on this map. So I had to sort of fish out what needed to be activated and what did not, and it was a nightmare. Many crashes ensued. It actually felt like a giant waste of time. So again, don't want to start anything brand new until the new system is done, because I don't want to start something brand new and then halfway through it sort of cancel it because I can't get the save game up and running on the new system. Because the problem is, I like mods, and most of my playthroughs are heavily modded. And modding is a sort of precarious state of affairs. Because if a mod is removed from Steam Workshop and you are using it, it can leave you in a world of hurt. But we're almost there. We've passed quite a few trains, actually. I knew this was going to be a busy section. This train is actually headed on down the line sort of unimpeded, which is strange. All the freight seems to be heading the other way, which is nice. But yeah, we'll be adding some Great Western Railway services to this area, which is nice. Or is it to this area, or is it to Bristol? I think there's Great Western Railways that heads from London out towards Cardiff, maybe even Swansea. What is happening with this lady? Now she's walking normal. No, she's not. What's happening with your arms? Here, walk like this lady. She's got it down to a T. There we go, we've got walk there. We've got lift, gym. One thing I will say is the buildings in Transport Fever 2 are a hell of a lot better. But here we go, on to final destination. There is, one or two freight trains in front of us. This is the marble train that should now have comm mats on it for heading back. Oh, I actually have to stop and let this guy past. That sucks. There we go, here's a Volkswagen Transporter van. And this is the Europhoenix, the ROG, Rail Operations Group. Very nice. And it's actually got comm mats on it, which is also very nice. There's one of our other Transport for Wales numbers on the left hand side there, the Turbo Star. Right, this freight train here needs to stop so I can go. Because even with cutting out that 15-minute section of me being stuck in the tunnel at Dundee, I think this is going to be quite a long drive by. There we go, lots of trucks heading to the steel mill. There we go. Is that metal sector? Iron ore being transported there. So this is iron ore and slag. And in future I'm going to make every sort of iron or steel mill. I'm going to make every steel mill the ones that produce steel and slag, because that makes sense. Steel is a byproduct of making slag is a byproduct of making steel, and it would always be there, sort of thing. I did not know you could use slag though to make construction materials. So I have to imagine there is always a use for it, and then maybe just doesn't get wasted or buried in landfill. But yeah, as I said earlier, if they had the power stations like uranium mining and stuff like that, would be really cool. I mean, one thing that was always strange to me is why they never added the sort of vehicle industry to the map. It was odd. I mean, I get fuel and construction materials and food are essentials for cities, pretty much. Without construction materials, the city can't grow, can't build any buildings. Without fuel, I don't know what you'd be using the fuel for. Most places are heated with electricity or gas. I mean, fuel obviously for vehicles, and then food obviously to feed the population. But it just seems odd that there aren't more industries sort of thrown into that mix. It's a real shame. I mean, the industry buildings are really nicely done as well. Like that coal mine up there looks great. But we just need more. Or I want more. Maybe for everyone else they're content with the amount of industries that are on it. But I would like just a slightly bit more variety. I would like the actual fish farm to be out at sea. I mean, Transport Tycoon of old, you could do fishing. You could send a ship out to an area on the ocean where there was fish, and a ship would go and like pick it up as if it was a station. It was great. But here we go, final destination. So we had a ride along on the Stobart rail. We jumped on this Transport for Wales number, and we are done. We're done and dusted. So, as always, if you did watch this and you'd like to leave a like, comment or dislike, please feel free to do so. And if there's more you'd like to see in the future, then hit the subscribe button. But I've been Danny Boy. This has been Transport Fever 2 on the UK map, and I will catch you later.